every day. Craig, Paul, my name, etc. We ought to just include him because he's on with us a lot, and we love it a lot, and we appreciate your time today.
We
were bringing up Gary Bohan, and I know you've got a competition there at quarterback, but what has he meant with his arrival and just?
He is one of the most pleasant kids I've ever been around, and what a great leader, and just natural. I think people are attracted to him just because of who he is, and I know that there's some background with Baylor, and he has nothing but great things to say about the Baylor program, and we're just lucky to have him. I feel fortunate that he's in a program now, but the competition, he's doing great, man. This is the best he's looked, and he keeps getting better and better and healthier, and so I'm excited. We'll see what happens in the competition, but I know he expects tough competition with Jake and some of the other guys, but I know that we definitely are fortunate to have him in our program.
One of the things, you guys obviously struggled last year that probably wasn't there as much in your more successful years is you build teams that they're going to know no matter what happened that they've either been at Provo or Provo's come to them physically. Have you seen that kind of resurgence this year of it's going to be a bare knuckle brawl when you play BYU?
Yeah, I thought we were that way last year. But we just had to go through the Big 12 schedule. You just had to go through it, and I think the guys were expecting it. It's one thing when you're built on toughness, and that's kind of like what you hang your hat on. But then when you run into teams that's their standard too, and then it's like, oh wait, you can't just say that you're the only ones that are tough. These teams are all tough, and you look at this conference, they're all tough teams. And I know that when people say that, well, yeah, that's college football. No, this conference is different. I've been in other conferences. This conference, first of all, well coached, amazing fan bases, right? So you're gonna be. It's a definite advantage for the home crowd more than anywhere, and so I think that fits us perfectly. But you have to go on the road and have to find a way to perform at your best, and that's hard to do in this conference. But when you do that, it's like you have to find ways to get better, and I don't know any other way to explain it than just to go through the experience. In the general media, I mentioned that it's like being a father for the first time. You can read as many books as you want and study as much as you can. And when you had no kids, I was critical of all the people that had children. I was so critical. It's like, when I raise my kids, they're going to be different. Nope, I'm the exact same way. And I understand now what they went through. So these players just had to go through they just have to go through the process, the learning process, and naturally there's a sense of urgency now. They know what to expect. It's not, last year was uncharted territory, so it's like never been here before. We don't know what to expect. Now they know what to expect, so that's taken shape already in January. There's a sense of urgency that I've never seen in them before, which is, I think that's just part of the experience, and I'm excited about it.
So we talked a lot in the lead up to what it was going to be like to join the Big 12, and you just touched on kind of what it was like. Was it like looking in the mirror a little bit in some ways and just stylistically and how teams are built, but also do you feel, having had that first year under your belt, like it's even more of a fit than maybe you even realized initially as far as BYU in the Big 12?
Yeah, I've said this before. I would be a little nervous if we were just overwhelmed physically and talent-wise, if we were just we didn't belong. I didn't think that happened. Now, the season didn't go the way we wanted, the results didn't go the way we wanted, but I don't think we just got obliterated left and right. We have moments where we actually performed really well at a high level against great opponents. How can we do that more consistently? That's my job as a head coach. One way is that they have to go through the experience. Another way is that there's all these variables that factor in how to get better. And I just we can't do it as a head coach, cannot do the same thing that we did last year and expect it to be better. So we have to revamp some things, change, get better, develop better players, get better talent in here to compete. And as we did that, I think we're in a really good spot now. But I also don't want to just keep talking about it. I just want to go out and show it. You know what I mean? Because talk is pretty cheap, man. But I can tell you one thing, this is a different feel for this team than it was last year. Last year, just kind of feeling things out, trying to test the waters. And now it's like, okay, we know what it's like to go there and play. Now we know what to expect. Let's get this. The lifting, the attention to detail matters way more than it ever did before.
So you have to almost go within yourself and look at yourself as much, scout you and what you did, as even though you've been doing this for a long time, as you did your players, right?
Yeah, I think all of that matters, and trying to find any way that you can get an advantage. You just can't rely on being tougher than the other team as an advantage anymore. That just doesn't. You're going to run. Everyone's going to be tough, and you could be tougher at moments in different positions, but everyone's committed to being tough, and everybody's committed to being physical. So that can't just be the only thing the only weapon you have in your arsenal. You have to come up with other things too. Can you be the most disciplined? Can you simplify and be the best at execution? Can you find ways to take better angles and tackle better? All those little things that's what we need to improve on. And if we can do that, well, then we'll be consistently successful, which will get us more wins.
You again, when you go into a season with a quarterback battle, I know it creates some uncertainty, but it is also, does it help create juice within the team and kind of excitement because there are big position battles?
Yeah, it depends who the people competing for the spot is.
Yeah.
And so if you have two guys that are kind of not true alphas, and they kind of want to feel their way, maybe they don't feel like I can speak because I'm not the starter. Gary's not that way. He's going to come in and he's going to speak. It doesn't matter what if he's injured or not, or if he's a starter. He's going to be that way no matter what, which is a great pleasure to have as a head coach. On the other side, Jake Retzloff's built the same way. They have a great relationship. So these guys are competing against each other, but they're also leading together. And as if we can do that, that's going to be the key. And the best man win. That's how it works. But if you look at college football, it's hard to go through the whole season with one quarterback. You're going to need more than one. In fact, that's why I went out and got 4 guys that have Division I experience. It's like I might have overcorrected, but I don't really care. I just don't want to be without. And now my job is like, let these guys compete. We play the best one when he earns it, but tell the other guys stay at it because you never know when that time's going to come for you to be on the field.
So we were talking to Lance Leipold, and as you can imagine, he gets peppered with questions about Jalen Daniels, and he gets mentioned. The running backs get mentioned constantly, and he's like, I wish somebody would ask me about my wide receivers. And I'm sure you get peppered with questions about last year and about the quarterback battle.
Yeah.
What's an area that you feel like isn't maybe being talked about enough, or that you're excited about and that we just haven't heard as much about?
Yeah, we brought 2 wide receivers with us for a reason, and an O lineman, right? I think the point is just like we have some really good players returning, and some guys with good experience, and so we're going to hang our hat on those guys and to continue to lead, but we need some other guys to step up too. So I don't think this needs to be. Nobody knew about Puka Nakua last year. He came on the scene, right? And so it was like but he did some really good things for us as when he played for us. So it's okay to have guys that are. We don't need one special player in the receiving corps. We need everyone to kind of do their job, and then when they get to the next level, they can get a little bit more specialized. But this program cannot be about one player. It's not going to be about one coach, so it's not going to be about one player. It's got to be about the entire group and the team. The best teams win games, and so we got to find a way to be the best team, and that's what we're going to really focus on right now.
I think we brought this up before, back when we first kind of met you, when you're going to play Baylor in 2021. Being an alum, being a former football player, a guy that was a difference maker, how much more pride and or responsibility do you feel to make sure this program continues on its tradition?
Yeah, I think for me, it's like, and I played here, but before I was a head coach and before I was a player for Lavelle Edwards, I was a fan. And so the fan in me was always there from the beginning. It's still there. So I always have a love for BYU football, and I'm always going to think of a fan first. I just happen to be the head football coach too. And the cool things is that I idolized Lavelle Edwards is why I became a coach. And you look at the things that he's done in this game. I wish he was still on this earth today, but he is in Andy Reid. He's there as Chief Sarkisian. I see him in Kyle Whittingham and other people that are here. They're just he has a big part of this college football game is guys that Lavelle has been around. Mike Leach was another one that learned from Lavelle. So the system that we're in, it's like the tradition of college football. It's synonymous with Lavelle and BYU football. So it makes sense that this is a game that we get to be a part of. I think for me, it's this level of appreciation to where we're at, and I never take it for granted. So I definitely want our players to realize the moment that they're in, and then it's like, get after it, man. Like this place, you deserve to give everything you got and to empty the tank every week. And when you're done with it, speaking from experience, after the 5 years that you're done in this program, the 4 years of playing, it's going to mean way more than anything else, and you'll always have that sense of pride with it.
So you're a fan growing up. When Lavelle Edwards walked into your living room, was it, I mean, obviously they would have been your first choice, but do you have to kind of play it cool, or what was it like? Did you
No, I didn't play it cool at all, man. That's my hero, man. I just loved the way he did things. And then I got to be a captain for him. So I played for him, and then I got to be a captain in his last year. And I watched as all these people just admired him, and I was so impressed with him. And not to get too emotional here, but like Lavelle, I couldn't believe that he was real, because he was so sincere, so genuine, and he was that way when nobody was watching. But I was always watching him, and it's what a great example for me. So the stuff that we do in our program, it's a lot of what Lavelle did for me as a coach, and I, like I said, I see that in the way Andy Reid leads his team with the Chiefs, and Kyle Whittingham with what he does at Utah. I see that in what Steve Sarkisian does as a former player, and what he does at Texas. So just some really cool moments that I think it's like, and so I would be a fool not to do the same thing for the guys. It works at BYU, it works at all the other places, so I might as well. It definitely works here, so I got to double down on it, and that's all we've done. I wish I could take credit and say that I'm an innovator and I've done things differently, but truly I just remembered what he did for me and how I felt, and I loved every moment of it.
You brought up a lot of great coaches, and you just had Lance Leipold walk by and slap you on the shoulder there. Chris
guy.
Kleiman, Dave Aranda knows ball. I mean, the list goes on and on. It just seems like a really fun league. I know there's a lot of talk about how competitive it will be, but just adding all the elements and all the coaches, just what do you make of getting
Wonderful,
to compete?
man.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been around them long enough. Really good people. And then being in these games and seeing the fan bases all over the conference, playing in Waco against Baylor and seeing their fans, they're passionate about their teams, but man, I just can't help but just appreciate them and that they belong in college football, and that the more we can highlight these people, that's the currency in life, is that we have wonderful people to be around. And I'm lucky I get to be around these coaches, and I'm lucky that these coaches are humble enough just to give me time and consider me to be their friend. I mean, we hang out and talk about a lot of different things, but we learned that from the old coaches that came through. It's how you protected the game of football. The game of football is great now because of all the old timers that did it the right way, and I'm glad that I'm around a bunch of guys that do it the right way in this conference. I mean, great personalities, great coaches, and so I have no choice but to be at my best because these guys are doing it.
When was the last time you saw Kyle Whittingham?
I didn't get to see him here.
Yeah,
this
he was
week,
here yesterday.
Yeah, I saw him a couple weeks ago. Played golf. Yeah, that's.
And I've described his team as a angry ball of razor blades. That would be a compliment for BYU or Utah, right?
Yeah, he's done an amazing job coaching, and it just goes to show when you have people that believe in you as a coach and allow him to get his system in place, and then he returns the favor by being loyal to them. So we have two of the longer tenured coaches in this conference with Mike Gundy and Kyle Whittingham, and what great examples they are to all of us. I mean, I worked with Kyle, so I've seen what he's been able to do, and I've been around him, and he's committed to making things good where you're at and the best that you can. So I think I'm very similar in the way that I like that there's examples of being able to do that, and then getting to meet Coach Gundy and hearing him talk. I mean, it's like there's connections there. I have a cousin that works for him. You know what I mean? So, and so it's kind of like there's a. I wish I could have the monopoly on all the best recruiters and all the best coaches and all the Polynesian players, but that's not how it works. You know? But I mean, that you look at it, you're like, I remember Apu Ika when he was playing. It's like,
oh yeah,
you're a BYU fan now. You're playing against us.
Yeah,
What's going on here? You know. But it's nice because I love seeing him and what he's doing at the next level. I love interacting with people. I mean, it's been really fun being part of this conference because I have this sense of pride where it was a little bit biased because if you looked at my bracket in March Madness, it was all heavily favored with the Big 12. And it's like, all right, well, that's how I'm going to do it every year now, I guess.
Yeah, they let you down a little bit.
Yeah, but it's all right. I mean,
Yeah, no.
They'll be back.
Yeah.
Okay. Enough of this other stuff. We have to get to a story that we heard about you. I'm not going to reveal the source, but I will tell you that he's not related to Merlin Olsen.
Okay. I hope this is the right story. Okay.
We heard that you guys used to have, and it's very appropriate with the WWE guys walking around today, that you guys used to have some wrestling matches and that maybe they went awry.
Well, The Rock was like big back then, and I think everybody was like, we were into it. I mean, you can say whatever you want about wrestling, but they're unbelievable athletes. And so I think that was kind of like, I grew up a wrestling fan, and so I kind of, that's kind of my thing. And who here didn't practice those moves?
Oh,
the punches,
You're
the
speaking
ice
my
scrape.
language.
this is my son.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to like bite a turnbuckle and do it like the George the Animal Steel and stuff like that. And there's all these different. I mean, I remember the good old days of watching even cartoons of the wrestlers when they were there. So, I mean, it's the show, it's the excitement. But yeah, Hans and I, we're kind of clowning around, being stupid. He did a suplex. I wasn't ready for it. Part of the suplex is your partner needs to know it's coming. So he did a suplex. I'm like, whoa, wait, what's going on here? I was expecting something like the Samoan drop or just an easy like a body slam or something like that. This guy does the suplex, and I fell on my elbow and I kind of messed it up a little bit. It was during spring ball, and so we knew we'd be in trouble because Coach Edwards was going to be like, well, how did it happen? And what do you say? Like, we're practicing WWF moves.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, we had practice the next day. This is in spring ball, so no big deal. So practice the next day. I live in pain for the next 24 hours so we get to practice. I go out and practice. We're in pads. The first hit I grab my elbow, go to the trainer, and trainer's like, yeah, you hyperextended, you kind of jacked it up. We're going to be out for some time. It was like maybe a week and a half or so. But I'm glad that we were able to stage that one. Literally. Yeah, we're wrestling. Yeah, so like, yeah, we had. so I got treatment when I wasn't supposed to. It would have been a pre-existing injury.
Yeah.
But this one, it's like the elbow's as good as new now. So.
Did he ever learn the truth, Coach Edwards?
No, are you kidding me? There's no way I would tell him that one. I don't know if he would believe it.
I hear.
I don't know if he would believe it. It was like, but I think he'd let this one slide. He'd be like, you know what? These guys actually work hard. I mean, we were nobodies. Hans is a D tackle. I'm a fullback. Who cares if these D tackle and fullbacks go and wrestle off on the side? I mean, we had a setup.
It's essentially practice in and of its own way.
Yeah.
Well, you always want to be part of the Royal Rumble, stuff like that. I mean, it's like, I mean, who doesn't like wrestling? That's my style, man. It's been a lot of fun, and I've always loved seeing the Polynesians in there, Superfly and all those guys. So now you got all these guys rolling in there with. I mean, it's been Roman Reigns, the Bloodline, all those guys. So it's really
absolutely
cool. Big time for Polynesian.
Yeah, you got Polynesians playing quarterback in the NFL, and now you got Polynesians wrestling and being featured guys, and we always claim The Rock. But now there's more of them, so it's been really cool.
How often do you go out to? I'm sure you've been to Euless Trinity in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
And we've done high school games with them. That is it's the only time you kind of stop during a pregame and go, all right, well, let's run a break because we don't want to miss the haka.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just a big part of our heritage, and there's a good group of Polynesian population there, especially in the Euless area with Trinity and LD Bell and all those guys. So we have, and we're all related, so that's our family there too. I'm just hoping that the best athletes there come to BYU, and not have to go to Baylor and TCU. And all that. So let me get a couple of them, please.
We used to do games in which they played against teams we broadcast, both when were his alma mater in Tyler and also in Waco with Midway, and God, they were always just Just
Well, we got a tight end that's Keanu Hills from Trinity, and it doesn't hurt to get more. There's always room for really good players that are physical, and that I don't mind them being able to do the haka as well.
There you go.
this segment with you is why we love it, and
I had
every
a
time
lot
we
of
have
fun.
you on, we get storytelling, and I'm glad Paul brought that up. Appreciate your time, man.
I
Really wish you
appreciate
the
it. We got
best.
the wrestlers on our side, so
Yep.
those wrestling fans that are out there, you can cheer for BYU and all the other weeks except for the one, obviously, when we take on Baylor. But appreciate you guys. Thank you.
He is more than just a fan of the show. We're a fan of his as well. Kalani Sitake, BYU football coach. We're in Las Vegas in 365 Sports. Waco Regional